Hey everybody, Bill here, Blitz Mold and Fab. Hey, just gonna throw a little quick video together. I'm installing I'm looking over there at it because I keep wanting to call it blow-off valve. The blow-off valve goes on your cold side just before your intake, and your wastegate goes down here on your exhaust. So I say down here because I'm down here under the car. So I put a piece of tape over here just so I didn't get this thing full of dirt while it was sitting around here. I have a door on the back of my garage. If it's open, sometimes it blows dirt in here. Just trying to keep things kind of as clean as I can for the most part. So I'm going to get my stuff together and bring my wastegate over here and just show you guys how to install it. It's fairly easy. And then I'll show you what I'm looking at to set up my wastegate dump. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Somewhat set up here. So, this is the wastegate, and what this does is when you let off of your gas and your system wants to back pressure, of course. So you let off your gas and your throttle body flapper closes and it back pressures the whole system. Well, what this does is opens up and lets your exhaust dump out so that you don't have a whole lot of exhaust. It just reverses the flow of your exhaust and pushes it out the wastegate. So it just helps everything kind of slow down. And then of course on the cold side up top, right in front of your throttle body, you have your blow-off valve. So these both open to help get rid of the pressure that you have when you don't need it, when you let off the gas. So anyhow, there is very important, trying to do all this up underneath the car here, but very important, this is your ring. This ring, this is the flow ring that goes into the base of your wastegate. What this ring does, this sits in here, and this ring gives your wastegate right here in the bottom. This ring gives this wastegate a flow path, a good flow path, and a good seal. So this is actually going to sit right inside of here, and if you can see this is raised a little bit right now, but what it's doing is when you tighten this down, it's going to press down and it's going to seal right here against the plunger, because what this is if you look at this in this wastegate, this is just a plunger. You can move this. It's a plunger with a spring on it. So it's kind of funky. I'm doing it with the yeah, whatever you call this stupid thing that I got in my hand here. I'm doing this with it on it. I need to probably kind of get it out of the way, but this ring, this sealing ring, has to sit in here, and then it goes right in here and sits in the base. So when you put this all together, you need to make sure you have this all set up right. So I'm gonna try to get this all, I know you guys can't see this very good, but what I'm doing is I'm taking this clamp and try to set my camera up here. It's not working great, but I got the camera set, just kind of set on a magnet, and it's kind of goofy. But what I'm trying to do is just take this clamp, get all of this lined up, and get this clamp set in here so that I can tighten this clamp down and grab all of this at one time. So I got the ring in, and let's see, I had the clamp over it, so the clamp is now over it, and then I'm going to tighten up the clamp and kind of figure out where I want this to go. You know how I want to aim this thing. So this is kind of rough to do. See if I can do this. There's a nut down here, and you know what, I'm gonna have to take this clamp and turn this clamp around. So what because what I have, and don't drop your sealing ring, I'm gonna have to turn this clump around here because this is what I want. I want the nut to be in kind of in the up position. So here we go. Put this on here just like this. Put this clamp over it. I'm gonna get this thing tightened up because I can't do it. I'm standing underneath my car here, and I need probably about one other hand. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tighten this Allen. I'm gonna tighten this little Allen screw and get this clamp tightened up and get this thing kind of positioned in the neighborhood of where I want it. So there's a fitting on it for a sensing line that comes off of, I believe, can I flip this over? Got you guys going everywhere. I'm gonna have to try to edit a lot of this crap out. But right there where that yellow cap is, that's for the sensing line. I believe this comes off the discharge of the turbo, and I'm gonna have to figure that one out because my turbocharger does not have, it's a Borg Warner, but it does not have a fitting on the discharge of the turbo like a lot of them do. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But let me go ahead and play around with this, get this thing tightened up, get this thing aimed kind of where I want it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, after some fighting and cutting the bolt off, I got it. This bolt right here, kind of weird. I don't know what the deal is, but this one right here, as soon as I got the nut started on it, I don't know if something happened to the threads in there, but it looks like it locked itself on. So I actually ended up cutting this side off. I ended up cutting the head off of it. So I'll have to find me another bolt. Like I said, it always kind of seems to work out this way when you're filming. Issues start happening, and so that's why I said I would fight it a little bit. But I don't know if you can see, I've got it bolted up, I've got this straight, I've got this mounted, and if you can actually see in there, it is now pushing this open just a hair. The plunger is sitting on the seat, and the seat is just pushing up in here just a little bit to hold the plunger up, which means this should be sealed. So that's what they're supposed to do. That's why there's a bevel on that seat. The seat that I put in the bottom, there's a bevel on that, and it matches the plunger so that it'll seal this plunger, so that all the exhaust is going to stay in the exhaust pipe until this plunger pops open. And there's just a spring in here. So you can either run these things off the spring, and you can change the springs, put heavier springs, lighter springs. I've heard people say they just run it on the spring. I don't really know what I'm gonna do yet. That's why I have this little yellow cover over here on the sensing line. I'm gonna move the sensing line. I'm gonna loosen up this bolt on this banjo fitting and point it forward anyway, because that's how it's gonna have to be if I decide to hook something up. I think it's gonna have to come down, you know, it'll have to come down like right here, kind of off the turbo through the firewall, by the firewall, and it'll have to come down here. So that's what I'm gonna do. So now I'm gonna go find me a bolt and see if I can't get a bolt that size. And then I'm gonna put this piece on right here and just kind of start trying to mock up how I'm gonna set this dump. If I can loosen this a little bit and move this, kind of set it here because this kind of looks like about where I want it. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So I'll be back. Okay, well, I busted out the TIG, fired it up. This is the exhaust piece that is going to go on the bottom, or the outlet of the wastegate. So I went ahead and put a couple of tacks on here, and just to get this thing kind of set up, and then after I figure out where I want it, I can weld this thing up. So here's my starting position. Not too horrible looking. I did blow a little through right here. Anytime you're welding and you have a bent piece of pipe, or should I say anytime you're fitting up pipe, when you have a bend, this end of a bend will not be true. It will not be round because of the way the bend forms the pipe. So it's sometimes challenging, and what I did is I took this end right here, or the other end, the end that I welded over here, I took it and I just kind of beveled it a little bit to get it to kind of sit down, you know, to kind of sit cup down into this flange just a little bit. So here's my starting point. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosely bolt this up and take a look at what I need to do. So I'll be back. Okay, back at it. Wastegate mock-up. Looks like I got it marked about right here. I think, sorry about that, I think that would be a good little shot. Come out, stay away from the frame rail a little bit, lift it up in the air enough so that we're about the same, we're above this. Sorry about that. So this looks like about where I'm gonna dump it. Again, I'm gonna tack this and then I'll put it back on and take a look at it and see how it looks. But it's far enough away from the exhaust, or far enough away from the frame. So okay, wastegate mock-up here again, back. So I've got it kind of set sort of where I want it, I guess. It's hanging just a hair below the frame rail, but I've got room over on this side. It's probably about 1.5 to 2 inches away from the frame there, and it's angled down but out just a hair. So I think I'm gonna call that good for now. I can always redo this later and always cut it later if I decide to do it differently. I know a lot of people route this to the exhaust, but in order to do that, I would have to cut a hole in my frame and come around over here. Here is my exhaust, and although it is not far, I don't know if you guys can see it, from where the wastegate is, so I could somehow loop it through and get through there. I could also go back this way and come around underneath, but I'm not sure I want to put that much work into it right now. I really need to keep moving and move on to other things. So I think for right now, I'm just going to dump it on the ground. And I know if I'm in dirt, it's probably going to make a mess. If I'm idling and I'm not really using any of that exhaust and it's open, but we'll have to see. I can always change it later. So I think for right now, that's where I'm going to tack it up. I'll be back. Okay. Sorry if the fan on the welder is loud. So I just threw a few little tacks on this and kind of cleaned them up and cleaned up these a little bit. So the 8 HP 203XI comes through again. So I'm not a good TIG welder. I kind of shy away from it. I need to do it more. So I'll probably TIG weld this to give myself some practice. And if I start blowing holes through it, then maybe I'll quit and use my wire feed. So you can weld stainless with TIG, or you can weld it with you know, just metal, just wire feed. The only thing is your welds will tend to rust if you just weld them with metal wire. So that's why I thought I'd go ahead and you know, turn on the TIG, get the gas on, play around a little bit. I do not TIG weld enough to be really good at it, so I'll show you how a crappy TIG welder does it at a later date. So right now I'm going to take this thing and get back up under the car and bolt it on and take a look and see what it looks like. I'll be back. Okay, so I got it set where I want. Call this a win. like I said, I've got room over here between my frame rail, about inch and a quarter, inch and a half. I've got this thing, I thought about maybe cutting this pipe up here flush so that it's kind of flat, you know, maybe with the frame rail. But you know, I'm looking at this pipe and this is lower than this, so I'm probably gonna hit this before I ever hit this, so it'll probably be in a good spot. I got this thing just loosely bolted because I'm gonna pull this off and I'm gonna weld this thing up. But I'm gonna call that a win. Wastegate dump and wastegate installed. So I'm gonna call this a good one. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope you're all doing well. Like and subscribe if you could, and have a good one.